May all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, may all beings be free from harm, may all beings love life, may all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, doing our bit to help preserve the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths cross his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today I'm just going to talk about a few things that Shunryu Suzuki said, and maybe I'll throw something else in. What made me think of this is the, every day from Cuke Archives, we have a Shunryu Suzuki lecture excerpt, except for one day there will be a plug for the podcast. That'll be on usually a Sunday or a Monday if I'm late. The way these started was long ago. I don't know how long ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I started putting up lecture quotes from Shunryu Suzuki, just sort of systematically going through it. I did it so long, and then I'd lose my place, or I'd find that I was back again and repeating some or whatever, but it didn't matter. And then my wife said, Katrinka said, you ought to put them on Instagram. Everybody's using Instagram now. And I didn't do anything about it. But I mentioned it to Peter Ford, my associate, who is the managing director of Cuke Archives. I don't know if I was calling him that then. But so he started doing it. And then once he started doing it, he immediately started putting a picture with it and then making it, see, the way I was doing it, it would go on the blog and then go from there to Facebook Cuke Archives. But Peter did it on Instagram to go to Facebook Cuke Archives and the blog. And then to emails. Too. There's an email list. So I went to 4 places. And then from that point, at first he and I were both doing it or something, but right away, before long, he was just doing that. And that freed me up. That was great. And he's really into it. He has been doing it religiously, I don't know how long, few years. And it's great. And I get more comments about his posts like that than anything. More and more, he has been running Cuke.com, and I've been focusing on what we call special projects, which is mainly, but not entirely, the books, the Tassara stories mainly. But, I did the audio books for Crooked Cucumber and Thank You, okay, and my fantastic novel to Find the Girl from Perth. But anyway, so today I was looking at something that Suzuki said a while back. That was on the daily, Suzuki lecture excerpts just a few days ago, and Peter made the title, Who Are You? I'm going to make the title of this podcast, Are We Part of It or What? I think so. Now, this is the sort of thing that I was raised with the idea that, that God is mind and mind is everything. But then sometimes it would be like if I got sick, I would chant this little thing. This is a little kid. I know that I am a particle of God, and I know that I am perfectly fine. But then I think about particle. I'm a particle. No, wait a minute. You know this. If mind is all, mind is perfect. We said mind more than God. We didn't say God a lot. We said mind. Mind is all, and mind is perfect, and I'm part of it, and it's all. So the same thing happens, with Buddhism. You're coming all the way into Buddhism and the windy paths my way-seeking mind is taken, and I reject the idea. I've never liked this. We're part of anything. This isn't divided into parts, but at the same time, well, it's just sort of, this is this is Buddha's enlightenment, where he goes, oh, wonder of wonders, all beings are the Buddha. So on the one hand, we have beings, they're a part of it, and we have Buddha, and the Buddha is not divided into parts. And Suzuki is just so often he does not stick to one side, and so often, talking about the paradox of one and many, and beings and Buddha and all that. So anyway, here's something that came from one of his lectures. And what date was this? March 12th, say just a few days ago. He said, and what lecture is it from? 1968, 07, 23. All right. The lectures, we name the lectures with the date they were given. So that's 0723. If we say we are part of it, the true relationship to the Absolute One will be lost. If we are part of it, then what is the real relationship to the Absolute One? Part of it. And if every one of us is an unfolding of the one infinite absolute or deity, then the meaning of each person will be lost. We are just an unfolding of one infinite being. So each one of us loses our sense of meaning of being. So we are not even an unfolding of the Absolute One, or we are not even part of it. If you think to this extent, you will find out what is the Absolute One. Okay? Not part of it. And we are not an unfolding of the one being. So, who are you? No words. And he laughs. I like that. Well, so, to me, he's just taking that whole subject and just going, well, we're not going to figure it out by trying to come up with statements that are true about it. And then there's a picture with it of a monk saying, who is it who says Zazen? And that's one of Stan White's caricatures. Really nice. So, yeah, I love it. Hey, there was another one that just came today. I find these quotes inspiring and, good things to reflect on, just like you do. I don't think there's any difference because, one of them, I'm also dealing with Suzuki material outside of that daily, and other things with Peter and Wendy Piercig has been helping a lot. working on, believe it or not, still doing those minimum edits of the lectures, and really getting into it and making sure all the the the, the verbatim transcripts are right, and always staying in touch with Shunryu David Hayes, who does that, who works on the verbatim for, and so all right, I like this. This is from today, Saturday, March 15th, 2025. Well, that's yesterday, but close. I mean, you're still in Saturday, are you? No, you're in Sunday, too, because it's later in the day here. So if you're in America, it's already Sunday, but you're probably asleep. So anyway, here we go. The truth is something which we cannot bring perfectly into our everyday life. Truth is something which we have to strive for. So without striving for it, to believe in some truth which is not truth or fake truth, and to force some principle on others, big mistake. From the beginning, it is too much to expect. For us, it is too much to expect for a government. We cannot expect so much from government. Isn't that timely? Ha 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 ha. I like that. All right, well, look. We've gone 12 minutes into this podcast. And you know what? I really think that's enough. But I'll tell you what, I'll add something to it. Nah. It's a very short podcast, but, I think I'll get back to work. It's very hard for me to keep up with what's happening. And, I'll tell you what I'm working on right now. It's the notes to the upcoming Tassara stories. It's going to be published in September 23rd, Tassara Stories. You'll probably get tired of hearing me repeat the subtitle because I've mentioned it before. Anyway, it just goes through the first year. And I make a point in the preface to the book and in the audio book, which incidentally is 99.99% finished. I say that. I don't say 100% finished because Peter Ford's been going over the final, you might call them page proofs. It's actually the uncorrected advance copies or something. I forget what let's see, I'll look. Uncorrected advance reader copy, not for sale. These are the ones that are being sent out for reviewers, newspapers, magazines. The most important, I guess, is Publishers Weekly and Library Journal. I mean, they need them. Library Journal likes to have it 9 months in advance. It's not that far in advance. But Publishers Weekly says they like it 6 months in advance. So anyway, and it's sort of the idea is it's the last time we can go over it. So I've gone over it so much, and and in making the audio book, and again, which helps me correct the book and make changes, So I haven't been looking at it, but Peter Ford has, and that he notices the most intricate details. It's so impressive. He said, here's a good one. He said, Hell's Angels does not have an apostrophe in Hell's. And, he went and looked and saw how the Hell's Angels wrote it. It's just Hells. Another one, in the first year there, Shunryu Suzuki was lecturing out of Edward Kanse's book on the Heart and Diamond Sutras. Wonderful book. And, this is 1967 at Tassajara. And so I give the name of the book. Actually, I probably a couple of times, but one time for sure, because when Suzuki started lecturing on it in this Indo, he started reading it. Now, I don't personally have this memory, but a couple of other people did, so I put it in the book. A lot of times I don't know what's my memory and what's other people's memories, but I don't remember this. But I know Stan White made a point of it, and other people said that he started reading the book from the cover and just read all the words in, including on the copyright page. I find it hard to believe he'd read the copyright page, but anyway, that's history. History. Well, what is it? History is a record of what didn't happen by those who weren't there. I was there, but really I'm not there anymore. I don't know. But anyway, so pardon me, I just think that's a great definition. I can't stop. Anyway, he read the name of he read everything on the cover. Then he goes in and he reads the title again, and then he reads that, and and then he gets into the actual meat of it, the actual Heart Sutra, and then after a little bit he just starts riffing on it, and but anyway, that was neat. But so I had the title of the Heart Sutra. Now, where do I get the title of the Heart Sutra to make sure? I just, I don't have to go to Amazon. I just write it on the URL line, Edward Kanze's book on the Heart Sutra, this and that. So I get down, Buddhist wisdom, the Heart and Diamond Sutras. Now I'm doing this by memory, so I think that's what I put. But Peter said, well, actually, back in 1967, the book had a different title. You found that out. He said it was not Buddhist Wisdom, it was Buddhist Wisdom Books, I love finding that. He said, I don't know if you want to use it or not. Oh, yeah, definitely. And that's a good note, for what I'm going to start working on. That he found that. And there's various, other things he noticed that are so incredible, like, some letter like an I in if is actually a capital I in the book where it shouldn't be. I can't notice that when I'm reading. The difference is this little tiny white space between the dot at the top of the I. Oh, yeah, really good. You'll know, this shouldn't be a comma here. It should be a period. I mean, I tell you, I have always told him his brain, I don't know what to say. His brain is like a scanner that sees things in higher resolution. Now, I think as a result of some things he's noticed, I can think of 2 words in the entire audiobook that I want to change. So, I go back in and I find that place in the audiobook, which isn't hard to do. And then usually I have to change the phrase because it's hard just to stick in a single word and make it sound natural, although sometimes I can do it. Anyway, so the notes, I'm going to be working on the notes for Tassajara stories, and they're going to be really extensive. Like, I'll tell you one thing, Ed Brown read, he didn't look at it for a long time, then he read what I wrote, and he says, well, this first piece that you've got about me and Alan Winter, that's not how I remember it. And then he mentioned it. It was pretty close, but, I'm not going to change it. I can't. It's too late to change. I can only, change things that don't change the pagination. I can change a word. I can say with commas wrong. I can't. There's no rewriting now. Maybe I can add a note at the end. But I can put a note in the notes thing, and in terms of history and it lasting and this and that, that's just as good. And I put my books on kook.com too. They're in there, so I think of it as something that is archiving, trying to make it last as long as it can. But it won't last. Nothing's going to last. And Richard Baker, once again, didn't look at it. Said, "Oh, I don't think I could make any meaningful contribution." I think he's thinking in terms of going back to the verse and talking about how to talk about it. No, I just want to know if I made any mistakes. So finally, he read it. Not the whole thing. I just sent him the parts that he was in, and then I get a note from him. And a couple of weeks ago, I left you a message on your phone. Well, I don't get any messages on my phone here in Bali. I think I actually do, but I just don't look. I don't know what they are. So I said, oh, and he said, well, I find considerable differences. Well, which I expected, and that's great. So I said, all right. He said, well, let me call you. No, I have to call you because I want to record it. So I get it all down. So, so that was a couple of weeks ago, and he was supposed to let me know when to call him. And we're in touch quite a bit, So when we finally do talk, I bet he talks for a long time. I record the whole thing, and it'll be great for the notes. And I think that the notes on the book will help, in a sense, give it, well, this is the way Ed Brown looked at that in the book. It was Alan Winters. It'll give it more dimension, and it's hard to get stuff like that from Richard Baker. So that'll be cool. But he's always busy. Now, he's not the Abbot anymore. He's stepped down. But let me tell you, that guy's mind, what is he, going to be 89 next month in April. It is, I just don't see any difference between it and 40 years ago. I mean, he's still, thinking about how to promote the Dharma in his groups and how to convey the way he, his understanding of things. And one thing we're setting up, I will mention, is a 3-day seminar with Bill Porter, Red Pine, to be at Johanneshof in the Black Forest. That's October 3rd, 4th, 5th. So, hey, why don't you come? I think it's definitely going to happen. And I keep telling them they ought to be sending things out now. And even if they haven't figured out exactly what to do, give some general name to it and get it out. But I've been telling people October 3rd, 4th, 5th at Johanneshof. And it'll be, people will be able to come. You'll be able to Zoom on it and stuff. And that happened as a result of Zentatsu, that's Richard Baker, and Nicole Baden, the new abbot, the queen, and me, and a bunch of, after we'd gone out to dinner, we came and watched the Red Pine movie with a bunch of people at Johanneshof, and it was so great. And after it was over, I said, hey, he's a friend of mine. I bet he'd come here. And Katrinka and I stayed with him, and he's a great guy. And so now it's happening. And so now they're flying Katrinka and me there, and we're going to be there 20 days. And it'll be October 3rd, 4th, 5th. And so come one, come all. Anyway, so I think that's enough. I just wanted to make the points that I'm after finishing this, getting this podcast uploaded, I'm gonna get started on the notes. I have to start getting something down there and work on it. I keep coming back to it. But I got to get to the second book, Tassar's Stories. The second book, the one that takes you from 68, the beginning of 68 through Shunryu Suzuki's funeral. I think I'll end it there, not through 1971, because there was some more of December, and the funeral's a good stopping place. Now Crooked Cucumber, the stopping place was his death. I mean, like, Richard Baker's with him. He dies, and Richard Baker says, something like, Suzuki Roshi is no more, or whatever. I can't remember how it ended. So this one's going to end with the funeral. And that's the second book, and it's a third longer than the first book. And the first book's like 257 pages or something. So, and the second book isn't even sold, and this is a problem because I don't want to wait a year and a half, and and I'm sure Monkfish will want to wait to see if there's any interest in this book before they take on the second one. But those of us who were there, we can't wait another year and a half. Our death rate is too high. It's not fair to us. Hey, incidentally, I did I was looking at a Washington Post article, just briefly glanced at it, why women are living longer. I get Washington Post headlines every day, even though that naughty Jeff Bezos is one of the oligarchs that's going to reshape the whole world. Ha ha, we'll see what happens. So there was this article, and in it said women now in America live to an average of 80 years and men to 75 years. Right away, I knew that was wrong. That was not the right way to say that. That's considered from birth. You can't be an adult and be told that. That doesn't apply to you anymore. That applies to a newborn baby. And so I was talking to Katrinka about it. So I said, all right, let's look, what is my life expectancy? Because I'm 80 and I'm already 5 years over the male life expectancy now in America, but what is my life expectancy? So I asked ChatGPT, and it agreed with me that using that thing that includes from birth, isn't a useful way for someone to be thinking about what their personal life expectancy is. It said at 80, a male, and it didn't get into white male in America and all that. So it was sort of rough. It said to live until to live to 87.3. So that gives me 0.3. That would be a fourth. That would be what is 0.3? That's a few months, and so I'm pretty close. That gives me another 7 years. So that didn't give me time to get book 3 out and the other stuff. So I don't know. I might just be self-publishing a bunch of stuff and let other people pick it up if they want. I don't know. So, that is one thing that motivates me, just to focus on the work I'm doing. Not that I think it's all that important, I'll tell you. It's my karma. It's my duty, Like you could say, what is there to do but just sit zazen and follow your karma, or do your duty, and so this has been sustaining me, and there's some other people like it. It didn't seem to be producing a lot of bad karma, so I want to keep doing it. And it gives me something to do during the day. I don't want to just go to the beach and go swimming. Anyway, that's it. Now listen, if you want to help me get through with all this stuff, just go to Cuke.com or ShunyuSuzuki.com, hit the donate button, and you can write a check, use a credit card, use PayPal, or become a PayPal subscriber with a monthly donation. That's what keeps this stuff happening. That's what makes the books happen. I'll tell you, it's not publishing revenues, it's donations. All of this is run by donations. Peter Ford and Wendy Persig, they don't, they just work for free. There's a lot of stuff happens for free, but there's also a lot of costs, and the main cost is just keeping me going, and I can't do all this stuff if I can't pay the rent and eat. And also, I like to spend about probably a day a week doing other stuff, working on music. I don't get to work that much. I don't work 1/7 of the time on it, but I strive to do that. And if you go to diffusermusic.com, you can see the new album I just put up, which was entirely made in the early 1980s. That's DEFUSER music.com. But hey, I'm going on long enough. That's it. It's been fun talking with you. And until we meet again, I'm DC, Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. And we're coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggett, Bandita Feline Manis. The bird outside the window, if you can hear it in the quiet spaces. And dear, lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.